Hey, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to Unit 6, Day 2. We're going to be working on word problems today, systems of equations with word problems. Now remember, systems of equations means that there's going to be two or more equations. So it's very similar to what we did last class, where we set the two equations equal to each other and then we solved for both x and for y to get the intersection point. But in today's class, we need to find the equations in the word problems. So a couple of tricks here, a couple of things to think about, a couple of things to work through, is that there are going to be one equation in each sentence. So let's read through this problem. The last season, two running backs on the Steelers football team rushed for, that should be a 4, a combined total of 1,550 yards. That's the first sentence. That's the first equation. One rushed for 4 times as many yards as the other. That's the second sentence, so that's the second equation. And then here's the question. Here's what we have to figure out. How many yards were rushed by each player? So let's take a look at this. Here is the first sentence. Here is the second sentence. And we need to figure out what it's talking about. Because Valdez, I only see two numbers, 1,550 and 4. And how in the world am I supposed to get two equations out of that? All right, first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what x and y are. What are the two things in this problem that are being talked about? The two things that we're talking about are the two running backs. See right here, two running backs. And then over here it says one rushed for 4 times as many as the other. So the pink sentence is comparing the two running backs. And then this sentence is talking about what they did together. So we're going to let x be running back 1. I'm just going to say running back 1. And I'm going to say y is going to be running back 2. So the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out what x and y are. What are the two things in the problem that are being talked about? And the second thing that we have to do is we have to write the two equations. And like I said, the first equation is going to be in the orange sentence. The second equation is going to be in the pink sentence. And there's going to be some clues that can help us figure out what's going on here. So we know, let's work on this first one first. Last season, two running backs on the Steelers football team rushed for a combined total. Ding, 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 total. Let's see if I can get this to I left yellow. Yellow's not a good one here. The word total. Total is going to be your key word. Total. Let's think about this for a second. Let me just get some scratch paper. A total is something when you add stuff together. When you add stuff together, you get a total. Let's rewrite that. Stuff that's added together to equal something. Does that look like one of the forms of a line that we know? Does this look like y equals m times x plus b? Well, kind of, but right here I'm just adding two things, I'm not multiplying two things. So that's kind of, and that this isn't a total. Let's see, what's the other one we know? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x. No, there's parentheses in this, and there's no parentheses in this. What about this one? ax plus by equals c. Oh, see how this kind of looks like that? Whenever you have the keyword of total, this is going to be standard form. Going to be standard form. Anytime you have a keyword of total, it's going to be standard form. So let's see what we can do with that. We know we've got to get standard form, so we know it's going to look like ax plus by equals c, but what does that mean exactly? Well, we know the thing has to equal is 1,550, so we know it's got to equal 1,550. And then what was x again? X was running back 1, and we know it's adding together with the two running backs. So it's running back 1 plus running back 2. Running back 1 plus running back 2 had 1,550 yards. Well, what do I have to do with these numbers right here? These A and B have to be numbers. Well, how many running back 1s were there? Just one. How many running back 2s were there? Just one. So don't let this part mess you up. If there's only one running back 1 and only one running back 2, then these numbers right here have to be 1. So that's the first equation. Let's work on the pink equation. The pink equation is going to be very similar. It says 1 rushed for 4 times as many yards as the other. 1 rushed for 4 times as many yards as the other. So this is comparing the two things. So one of them, running back, let's just do this running back 2. We know that there's going to be one running back on each side. Because what this is doing right here, it's comparing the two running backs. Running back 1 and running back 2. And it says one of them is bigger than the other. Well, it doesn't matter which one. Just say running back 2 rushed for more yards than running back 1. And that's okay, that's good. Running back 2 ran for more yards than running back 1. Well, that's the inequality for it, but what happens if we want to make them equal? How many yards more did running back... How would we make these equal? Well, it says that it's 4 times as many. If running back 2 is the bigger one, where does the 4 times go? One of these has to be multiplied by 4. In order to make them equal, the smaller one has to be multiplied by 4 in order to make them equal. 1 rushed for 4 times as many yards as the other. The smaller one times 4 equals the bigger one. So y equals 4 times x. The smaller one times 4 equals the bigger one. And those are our two equations. So now we need to solve. We need to substitute and solve. So let's rewrite these, because this is the part we can do this in the calculator. Remember last class we did a calculator check? If we rewrite these, we can put them into y1 and y2, put them in a calculator, second calc 5, enter, enter, enter. The calculator will tell us the answer, and that's a way for us to check our work. So let's do that. In order to get these in the calculator, we need to solve for y. So that's done. So y2 equals 4x. So that's what I'm going to type in the calculator for that one. And for this one, I need to solve this one for y, which means I simply have to, let me rewrite this since that demonstration is over. I need to get this x, I need to make this into 0, so I'm going to subtract 1x, and this equation now, so y, 1y, equals 1,550 minus x. So here's the first equation solved for y, and here's the second equation solved for y. Let me just rewrite that for completeness sake. Okay? So now we can set them equal to each other and solve for x. (1,550) minus x equals 4x. First thing I want to do is I want to get all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other. All my numbers are on one side, so I need to get rid of this and move it to the other side. I need to make that 0 by adding x. I add x, and that equals 5x. So what I have is 1,550 equals 5x. How do I get the x by itself? I divide, I make 1, so I divide by itself, that makes 1. If I do it on one side, I have to do it on the other side. So now, break out my trusty calculator. We have 1,550 divided by 5 equals 310. So x equals 310. Well, but that's only part of the problem because I need to figure out, remember what the question asked. The question asked, how many yards were rushed by each player. So I know that running back 1, which was, oh, you can't see what I'm looking at. Running back 1, which is X, this running back had 310 yards, so I need to figure out how many yards running back 2 had. So running back 1 equals 310 yards. And to figure out running back 2, I'm going to take this number and put it back into this equation. I'm going to put it back into the equation. So y equals 4 times 310, and y equals, again, trusty calculator, times 4, 1,240. So now I know that running back 2 had 1,240 yards. And that is the answer that we're looking for.